trying to bring back old school New York, stand on the block, stand on the street corner, talk shit about each other, and laugh it through. That's how we came up. We talk shit about each other. Since when we can't talk shit about each other? Like, oh, you're fat shaming. Well, bitch, lose weight. You shaming.
Marlon, yeah.
Yo, I'm
Right. Yeah.
And look at our society. Look how bad things have gotten. Because we ain't keeping it real no more. Because we ain't saying what's on our mind. Because everybody's sensitive. This next generation is gonna be a bunch of pussies.
Yeah.
I'm not raising my children like that. I'm raising them with a sense of humor because life is gonna get dark. And if you don't know how to laugh at inappropriate things, even your childhood, things that hurt you the most, you gotta learn to laugh about. And if you don't, then you're gonna have a really long, tough, hard life.
One time for the one time. A little message on the way in. The gang is back at you for another audio occasion. The EFS podcast, the podcast for the self-starter and those willing to make the most out of any situation. Back at you for number 18. It's Liddy. Summertime out here. Weather is officially heating up. We got shorts in the building. We got toes out in the building. That's big time. So energy today. You know.
Toes is out, man.
Summertime is all like I might not wear sock all summer just from the, unless I'm doing something athletic, like, you know, running.
I'm wearing socks, I'm telling you now.
No doubt.
It's something I'm out here, but I'm out here with nice shoes.
Nah, definitely.
Nice shoe on.
I feel you. I'm just saying me personally though, when we get to summertime, I like as minimal footwear as possible, you know.
I only time I do that when I'm at the beach. I'm going to the beach next week, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, yeah, you are going somewhere next week, Juneteenth.
I'm out here, Juneteenth vibes.
Facts. You're not going to L.A. for the Kendrick show?
No, I'm not going to L.A. for Kendrick show.
You're not going to L.A. for the Kendrick show?
No Kendrick shade, but listen.
That's going to be a fire show.
We're going to talk later about where my rap rankings is
That's going to be a fire show.
It's going to be a fire show.
I looked up ticket prices. To fly to LA though. To fly to LA. Nah, it ain't gonna happen. And I can't fit it in the schedule anyway. But yeah.
The concert? What you talking about the concert?
Nah, the concert, I think the concert is like open. It's like some open shit.
Some free shit? Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know for sure. I ain't check all that.
Somebody getting paid. I don't know how.
Does Kendrick really need to get paid off of one time, you know, just whatever? I ain't fact checking, so I don't know. I checked up, I looked at prices to go to LA because that was going to be the determining factor on if I wanted to buy a ticket or not. Like, can I fly to LA for this show? And I'm like, nah.
Nah, it's not worth it.
That's weird too. Headaches. Juneteenth is in the middle, you know.
Middle of the week, yeah.
I would love to see it though.
Yeah, I mean, if they really want to get crazy with it, just live stream it. See the whole crowd going, they not like us.
We're going to get the live stream after, bro. It's going to be a gang of phones out there, so that's all I really need to know. After, once everybody throw their shit up on the internet.
It's going to be on Snapchat. It's going to be on something.
It's going to be right there. All the clips from it, all the songs. I'm going to see the energy, see the crowd. But yeah.
You'll see it all.
But what up, though, man? Episode 18 is back at you for another one. It is a slow news week, I guess. We've arrived, but we ain't really got shit to talk about today. But
listen, you let it go again. We might have a lot. You never know, because sometimes we get on a tangent, man.
We be talking. Organic content comes when you ain't really got shit to talk about.
Nah, bro. It's just be us vibing, bro.
Yeah. It is. It is a possibility for that, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Very short topic board. I know I got to eat crow out the gate because.
Oh, do you?
You know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Oh man, I haven't heard anything. Have you checked in on playoffs lately?
What you mean you haven't heard anything?
I don't know. I just haven't heard anything.
Our text inbox. Our text inbox doesn't say you haven't heard anything.
I was just wondering if you've been following up on the NBA playoffs lately.
Haven't seen them. No, I haven't watched the game,
it's been. Haven't watched the game, huh?
Go ahead, man. Get your shit off.
I'm just like, you know what? You ever see the what's the name, the Family Guy? Where's my money, man? Where's my money? Yeah, where's my money, man?
You ain't get paid yet. Series ain't over.
Series ain't over now.
Game 4 is tonight. Tonight or tomorrow or last night by the time this is aired. So the series could be over tomorrow by the time you see this pod or hear this pod.
I don't know what you're thinking. You thinking they're gonna come back from a 3-0 deficit and make it shake? Nah, come on, dog.
Nah, I mean, history has told you that shit is hard as fuck to do, so I don't believe it's going to happen at this point.
It's impossible to do. It hasn't been done.
So I got to eat crow.
Come on, dog. Like, I'm just saying, you want to pay in advance, or how you want to do it?
Nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. When the trophies handed out and all other shit, then we take care of it then.
But this goes back to
if something historic happened, then I look like Nostradamus, because that's the case, then, you know, I've been calling this shit all along. I said Mavs in 7. So if they run off 4 straight somehow, which I don't believe is actually going to happen, you know, y'all making me look bad out here, man.
But that would be the greatest comeback.
I said Mavs in 7. I ain't want it to be like every game is an elimination game for y'all going fucking forward. Like, yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Like,
but even beyond that, I just want to know if you want to roll back those Luka claims. He's at number 2 in the league. Because I know that was last episode too. You was talking big, like Luka's the number 2. I'm like, what are you talking? I was like, show me something. He ain't win nothing yet.
No, he hasn't. But a lot of the niggas who's up in consideration for that haven't won shit either. Talking about Jokic and Giannis in the top 5 players in the league that have actually won something right now.
Okay. I mean,
who else? Who's in? He's one of the best players. None of them have won anything. It's been Jokic and Giannis most recently.
That's why I was saying, is Kyrie's not in the conversation?
Best players in the league?
Yeah.
He's one of, but he's not top
number 2?
3 or 4 or anything like that. Not on my list, but you know.
What about at least an MVP? What about Embiid? He at least won an MVP.
MVP is cool, but then.
But I'm saying before you become number 2 in the league.
Is Joel Embiid all right? Because I don't like to talk about people when they down and they got Bell's palsy and all that other shit.
I'm just saying, if we're looking at the best in the league, you have to at least claim an MVP, an NBA Finals MVP,
sure. It's on the way.
Championship, something.
It's on the way.
I'm not stamping none of these guys. It's not on the way this season.
I mean, it wasn't on the way once Jokic got it, so he finished number 3 in MVP voting. You know? Which I think was a little bit of disrespect, but whatever.
Well, I'm not even saying that. None of the things that we I guess claim to, like, when you put somebody in the Hall of Fame statement, right, or in consideration, right, they usually look at the accolades. Luka doesn't have any accolades. I mean, I guess you would count Western Conference Finals MVP because that's a new thing they're counting now. Which I look at that like the same way you look at an NBA Cup. That doesn't mean anything.
I mean, I ain't counting that. I ain't counting that either. So we ain't different in that regard. Okay, but so, I'm just saying.
I'm looking at him now. I'm like, the man doesn't have the resume to make the claim, right? At least when you look at Jokic, he has a 3-time MVP.
You're working against your point from earlier in this season.
What's that? Talk to me.
He does have the resume to make those claims. You talk about someone who's played professional basketball again since he was 16 years old and has won the biggest tournament outside of the NBA in Europe at 19 years old.
But it's not in the league.
Right, but we talking about overall resume. The global game of basketball that you say is global now, right? It's global now, right?
I'm talking about the NBA.
Right. And again, even still, I still stand on that he's going to have a great enough career to warrant some of those things going forward. You got to think he's young as hell still.
Very true, but he's not there yet. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is we shouldn't be stamping him number 2 in the league until he's proven himself in the league.
He's proven himself in the league every year.
Into what?
Led the league in scoring this year. Like, not the first time he's been in the top scorers in the league. Like, ever since he came in the league, he's been dominating. So
I just don't know if that's enough.
If you're looking for accolades to tell you like who is the best like player in the league, like sure, he still needs to earn some of those things going forward. But I don't think there's that many people in his vicinity right now, like outside of the people who've already won. Like I said, in most recent times, the Giannis's, the Jokic's, who have the resume and the trophies to like warrant being in those positions. Outside of that, look around the fucking league and tell me who you can say is better than Luka that has actually not won shit.
Wait. Say that question
again. They haven't won a chip. They haven't won a chip. We taking Jokic. We taking Giannis out the equation.
Okay, why?
The 2 most recent, I'm talking about people that you can consider top 5, top 10 in the league that have most recently won a championship. Because if we're going by, he has to have that in his resume to be considered number 1 or 2.
Like I said, I throw Embiid at you.
Nah.
He's still dominant.
Unreliable.
He's still
unreliable.
He's still dominant.
He can dominate, but he's going to give you 50 games in the season at max, and then on top of that, he's going to be out in the playoffs or hurt in the playoffs when you need him the most.
So doesn't that hurt any other argument you have about Jordan because he doesn't have the longevity? So he only had the good run for the 6 seasons that he went to the finals.
No, Jordan dominated and was on the floor for freaking damn near 82 games a year, and then went to the finals every single time and dominated on his way through it.
But only during that time.
He ain't even got he ain't even got a trip to the finals.
That's very true.
So with that said, he's out of there when you're talking to Luka now. At least Luka's been to the Western Conference Finals, and now his next time he had a real run back, he's in the finals. Against very strong competition as well.
If we're looking at that, so basically we're dinging players for health concerns, basically.
Yes, that counts.
All right,
that counts to your overall resume. Are you out there when it matters most? That's why Kawhi is not in one of my best players in the league list right now.
I hear you.
Just because he's not out there when it matters most.
But he's still a 2-time final MVP. I mean, not 2 times champion, a Finals MVP. Like, he's done considerable work.
What have you done for me lately?
Listen, bro.
The list is fluid. The list is moving always.
It's always moving, huh? But that's what I'm saying right now. If Luka's just number 2 player in the league, he's not showing up, in my opinion.
How?
Outside
of Game 3.
Outside
of Game 3, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I got my own stance on
I want to hear
the whole way this series has gone. But before we get there,
please,
when has Luka let you down so far?
He let me down. He's doing great. Hey, keep up the great work because of the outcome.
It gives you a pick, but when has Luka been in question for like anything outside of the media cycle for the last 24 to 48
defensively,
hours?
He's a liability. I don't think he's able to.
He's been a liability
to contain.
He's been a liability, and the Dallas Mavericks defense has been one of the tops in the league, headed towards the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, they've been pretty good defensively.
Right, but you're saying.
And to Luka's credit, he's had a lot more defensive effort than I've ever seen him have,
and that's great. I mean, if you're looking at him compared to him, it's wonderful.
I mean, no doubt, he's never gonna be like. Come on,
I'm just saying.
If we want Luka to strap up, like you hard pressed. Like, I'm sorry,
right?
I'm sorry. You want Luka to be that level of. He hasn't showcased that ever in his career.
Ever in his bag.
You can't expect that from him.
But
Allen Iverson wasn't the best defender either. So,
but he was still good. Yeah,
right, exactly. Good. So players are going to be certain kinds of things. Luka's not a two-way player.
No,
if you get great defensive effort from him, then right, great. Like, he doesn't have great defensive instinct. He's not a great lateral mover. Like, he's not physically built to be a great defensive player.
I'm just saying the great ones find ways to adjust to situations, right?
And he has.
I don't think he has in this particular finals run. I don't think he's adjusted to what he needs to be done to get the dub.
And
that's what I'm saying in terms of the whole overall picture of why they're 3-0 right now.
Outside of Game 3, this last game, you can't say anything about Luka's performance other than that, because Game 1 and 2, all we was talking about was the lack of Kyrie Irving's performance.
I agree with that.
So
Which is a whole other conversation, but yes, I agree with that.
It is. So you're not getting both of them playing to the best of their ability at the same time throughout this whole freaking series. Game 1 and 2, Luka killed. Game 2, he had 33, 11, and 11 or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the finals, that shit ain't easy to do.
It's not.
Like, against that defense that they're playing as well, you know?
Got nerves, got all the things going on.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm saying? I don't think it's even so much nerves for him. I think, and I'm going to go right into my stance on Game 3, which is the last one that everybody talking about right now.
Yeah.
Luka went fucking mental midget, like, which has happened to Luka a few times before. So I'm also going to be critical of a player when I notice things that, like, work against him in their greatness.
Yeah.
Just like LeBron went mental midget at times in his career as well.
Yeah.
Like, just to where either your emotions or whatever you're feeling internally is outwardly, like, taking you out of competition. Like,
yep.
Boston's been physical with him. They've been, like, really, and not for nothing, like, he got some level of point because they is fucking him up a little bit out there, but it's kind of going both ways. So
it is.
I'm not really
that
mad about that shit. There are some calls where he's getting slapped right across the arm and all that shit, and the refs is just right there not calling nothing. So I think that's a little, like, refereeing has to kind of be a little bit tighter on the officiate and just not let it be, you know. But he's been played physical. I'm not saying that's the end-all, be-all to this conversation. He's been played physical the whole series. Boston's a great defensive team.
Yeah.
He's still been able to find ways to be, like, you know, dominant throughout the first 2 games because he killed. He was the best player on the floor for at least the Mavericks team. Both of those games.
Yeah.
Game 3, he got back home. I don't know what it was, but he just started that same bullshit that he do all the fucking time where he started bitching and moaning and whining at the fucking refs the whole time.
And it's not
And I think Game 1 and 2 kind of put him in the position to, like, he's been feeling the weight of just the defensive pressure that he's getting the whole time. And Game 3 just kind of fucking snapped. Whole time Kyrie's going bananas the whole first half into the second half. Like, Kyrie was there to show up with him, and then he went fucking mental midget. You know? Worst game of his fucking, I think, this playoff so far. And I just hate the fact that he go, like, all, like, whiny, again, just whining and bitching and moaning at the refs and shit. Like, bro, just fucking play. The more time you spend on, like, worrying about what the rest are going to do, the more you're taking away from what you can like actually focus, like putting into the effort that you're putting out on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Defensive, like he's been looking even worse this last, like because he's been decent defensively for him the whole playoffs. The finals, you got a bunch of penetrators, you got a bunch of creators that can, you know, and it's Jaylen Brown, it's Jason Tatum, and now they're starting to seek him out, stuff that other teams couldn't really do because they don't have the personnel to do that kind of shit.
Yep.
So now they seeking him out on defense, and you going against motherfucking All NBA or like, you know, exactly, all-star level players to where you got to actually guard. So, and that's not just him. The whole fucking team is like that, too. Yep. Kyrie getting lost out there. If I see another motherfucker help off the strong side on the fucking penetration as a, like, it's like, when do the rules, like, the basic basketball rules.
Fundamentals of basketball.
Like, do not help off the fucking corner when you're on the strong side. So, like, their defensive principles just don't look.
Does that fall on partly on Jason Kidd?
I got to say yes a little bit, man. And I'm not trying to take anything away from J. Kidd. One of my favorite players to watch as a young guy, as far as like versatility, like great point guard, Hall of Famer, all that shit is written. So I ain't even gonna spend too much longer on that. Mm-hmm. Right now, as a coach, I think he kind of getting exposed a little bit too. You know, certain decisions that he's making. Like I don't know why the first two games, Derrick Jones was getting the bulk of the minutes, and you got Tim Hardaway Jr. sitting right on the fucking bench. So then you throw him in game 3 and expect him to like be the light switch that now creates, you know, and it just don't look like you got a guy that's proven to be a decent player in the league.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, Derrick Jones is an athlete, but he's pretty trash outside of that.
Wow.
Like if I'm just being honest.
That's a hot take.
I don't even think it's a hot take. Like he's not really good at anything at all. Like outside of being very athletic. He's a very streaky shooter. He can hit a couple shots here and there. Outside of dunking the ball, he's a bad finisher at the rim. Like layups. Like, you know, to be that athletic, I don't understand why you such a bad finisher around the rim. You know what I'm saying? To where contesting all that shit, just throw your lefts from, they don't even be hitting the fucking rim properly to even fall in sometimes. Like over
I
the
thought he was giving him
shit.
more assistance on the defensive end too.
I mean, sure. But at the end, when you getting the shit kicked out of you, you got to give the person you know can score and shoot like a little bit better.
To give credit, like Dallas bounced back in game 3.
They did.
They get an amazing comeback.
Sure.
Like, they came back and it was within, I think, was it 3, 4? It was close.
It got down shit. I want to say 2. I'm
2?
blanking.
Yeah, I'm blanking too. I thought it was 3 or 4 or whatever.
Either way,
it was close.
It was down 20.
It was one possession.
And came back.
It was one possession. I know that at one point. And I'm sitting here like, man, this could still go to Dallas.
Yeah.
And then they put the clamps on the players that, you know, they got to watch for, Kyrie and Luka, and they started adjusting and getting open looks on the Boston side, and that was it. And it was an 8-0 run, and I was like, oh, it's over now.
Boston's a good team, man, but I just don't think the way this shit is rolled out is making them look like they are like unfucking beatable.
I definitely think that their line of rolling to the playoffs was easier than.
And I'm not even going to be the person to beat up on them for that because you got to play who you got to play.
Yeah, it's not their fault.
You got to play who you got to play.
But but the way they have played, the composure, the approach to adjusting, the coaching, it's all been pretty flawless. I'm not saying that there wasn't gaps, but even the what's the people that ride on the bus that Chuck be saying? He's like, you got
others.
You got the others, right?
Yeah.
The others have stepped up in amazing ways, from Porzingis to Drew.
I mean, that's like, just because they got a great roster.
I know.
You got people who, like, Drew Holiday is an all-star. Kristaps Porzingis is an all-star at some point. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are, like, perennial, and at this point, all-stars in the league. So their roster is built and constructed to where, like, their margin of error is very, very fucking wide. Like, the margin of error is, like, the steepest of any team in the league right now just because of that collection of players. Like, Kristaps Porzingis was out the whole rest of the playoffs, came in game 1, gave you a spark. Game 2, he had a little bit of a, you know, it was not the best game, but he ain't played terrible. Defensively, he changes things too.
Yeah, he had 26 points, Drew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saying? Like,
somebody
and Jason
can pick the ball
Tatum,
up.
I'm sorry too. My hot take is just like Jaylen Brown said. I mean, just like Jason Kidd said about Jaylen Brown. Like, Jaylen Brown is the best player on that team. All that 1A and 1B shit.
Any given night, it could be either one. I'm just gonna say,
sure, man.
Those two are just like Luka and Kyrie in the matchup for me, where it's like, who's the better one? You choose Luka, I choose Kyrie. It's all to taste at that point.
I mean,
you can choose Jalen, I choose Jason. It's
and
all
I like
to
Jason
taste.
Tatum,
it's
but
all to taste.
a few other things about his game that I'm seeing too. Like, not a great finisher at or around the rim consistently. Like, to be his size too.
Yeah.
Like, once the jump shot is broke and then he gets, like, I don't know. I ain't trying to pile it on him, but I just think that Jason,
but he's still
Jaylen
a great distributor
Brown,
of the basketball. He still gets it to the right person at the right time.
Yeah,
IQ
shit you should
high.
be doing at that level of player to be considered so he can affect the game in multiple different ways. Yeah. But to be like that guy to where now I'm talking about him as the second best player in the league, far off, I think, right now.
Okay, well, let's not put him in the second best. Let's see who
he gonna get his chip. So I'm happy for him. He gonna get the monkey off his back because they've been on his ass ever since the last time when he played garbage throughout that whole series. Like now, outside of Game 3, when I think Boston is like front runners, man. Like I feel like they riding high, everything is cool. Yeah. But I think as soon as things get a little chippy, like they got the chance. They a little sweet at that point. Like they can get beat.
So you're saying this upcoming game?
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
I mean, I'm just saying if you want to do one.
I seen a joint on a Bleacher Report where they said the open portion of practice. I don't know. They just be throwing shit up there sometimes. But they had the camera out there for the open portion of practice where players can come get their shots up and all the other shit before they work with the team or after, either way. None of the players was out there, and they just had the trainers out there fucking around with each other. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to pack it in and just fold in Game 4? Or are they going to step up and try to extend this thing out even more? It's like it's a crazy mentality at this point, man. Like.
Is this the closeout game?
I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm clearly wrong about what I've expected, how this thing is supposed to go. I don't foresee something historical happen, but if they, string together a game or two, like this next game and then the game after that, and push it to like 6 or some shit, then it gets more interesting. But I don't know if they got that in them right now. Yeah.
I'm just saying, for the $4, I'm supposed to be getting it over here.
You can get your $4.
I want them in Sacagawea gold coins, if that's possible.
Nah, you can get $4 bills. The green and
Sacagawea
green paper. That's
gold,
what you get for me.
The blooms.
You might get it on Venmo or Cash App or some shit.
So I got a little bit more than that because it's gonna be like $4.50 to get it out.
Nah, it ain't.
Because I gotta take the money out of the Cash App. They charge me for that.
Nah, if you could just do it the regular shit, not the instant.
Oh, take 4 days to get my
It's
money?
1 to 3. That shit take the next day. Next day. Anytime you do that, next day. Like, if you need the $4 that bad, then listen, I'll go to the bank and get it for you. I'm going to pay for to take it out and give it to you.
I appreciate it. I'm going to put it right here next to me, right? A little bit, $4, right?
That'll be your 2024 finals. Next year when we run it back, we're going to take that shit down because... hopefully my picks are a little bit more sound because this is crazy.
Man.
My boy Kyrie out here bottled up. He woke up in Game 3.
Let's talk about Kyrie though.
What about him?
Do we look at Kyrie as the reason why this team may lose?
Yeah, Game 1 and 2, yeah. And that's I'm gonna just call it a spade. Like Game 1 and 2, yeah. You left your running mate out there to dry. You left your running mate out there to dry. I've been saying this all series while they've been getting their ass beat. Like, people talking to me about the games and shit. I keep saying, like, they talk about all, like, how Dallas plays and whatever. It's like, yes, when you have the other roster with, again, like we talked about, 2 all-NBA players, one the highest paid player in the league, the next one is going to get his check to where he's the highest paid player in the league. You got 2 of those guys on the team, and then you got Drew Holiday, who is a defensive fucking, like, maniac. Mm-hmm. Like, defense is maniac.
High-level IQ, too.
High-level IQ player. Great. He makes winning plays. He just does that shit. That's how he been before he even won a chip. He only got 1 chip, so everyone's making it seem like he's, like, super, super winner guy.
Nah,
but he makes plays, so, like, I'm not taking anything away from him. When you got that on the team, and then you got Derek White, who any night looks like either the role player or a motherfucker who can drop 35 as well. Like, when you got that collection of players, and then it's Kristaps Porzingis, who also, again, is an all-star at one point in the league and a player who
has a chip on his shoulder because he used to be a Dallas Maverick.
Yeah, no doubt. All that shit. You got that shit on the other side, and then it's Luka, Kyrie, and a bunch of, like we're going to throw a bunch of people together.
Yeah.
Like they both have to be operating at a optimal like level of efficiency, output, usage, and like just control of the game for you to have a fucking shot. I thought that was going to happen because I believe that both of those players are capable of that. Game 1 and 2, I don't know whether it was the Boston fans or whatever. Like I don't know. Kyrie was in a whole different headspace. It did rattle him because
visually.
And just looking at it, it just seems like just as a bat, like the way he's missing, a lot of shots is coming up short. Like something's wrong. Something's wrong.
I don't know if it was tense.
I don't know.
Being back in the place that he wasn't.
Didn't look like himself. Like taking too long to make decisions and not just like
over dribbling to me. Over dribbling.
Taking too many dribbles.
Yeah.
Making counters that you don't need to make. You saw what happened in game 3. I'm right to it. Like I'm right to it. Find my spot. I'm zeroed in. I'm locked in. As a player, like you know your spots on the floor, and you know what your ability can kind of get you. Like once you put it to use.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kyrie don't need, and I know Kyrie got the best handle ever and all of his shit like everyone's saying. Kyrie don't need 6-7 dribbles all the time.
No.
Like the way he plays, the leverage he can gain from the way he uses his body, along with his ball handling ability, don't require too much to get where you want to go. Game 1 and 2 is a lot of just like, I see it. I don't know if I can get there. I'm going to just keep playing with the ball. Then you playing against a defense that's literally all watching you. Collectively, how are we going to stop you? You know what I'm saying? Same thing
Double
for Luka.
teaming, all that, They were doing a lot.
So I think game 1 and 2, he was really just, and they ain't really been doubling. They just been like, fuck it, y'all go ahead and play. We're just going to trust our defense, and then we're not going to give you the opportunity to get everybody else involved, so y'all two just got to kill us all game.
Yeah,
Kyrie was getting to his shots.
Help defense when they come, when they're driving, you know what I mean?
Sound defensive principles. Sound defensive, like we going to guard our yard, and we're going to see what you got, like that.
Yep.
Game 1, Kyrie was on some bullshit. Game 2, Kyrie was on some bullshit. All while Luka's going bananas. Game 3, Kyrie goes bananas, and then Luka gets on, again, mental midget shit. Like, all you had to do was come along for the ride. And then, hopefully, if you would have even been out there in the last few possessions of the game, you could have turned it around and got the win.
Did something.
Because now you take one of your weapons off the floor.
Yeah, I think when he got that foul...
Playing dumb.
It was just a
dumb
bad
shit.
Positioning on him. He knows he's got 6
dumb
fouls.
Shit.
I mean, 5 fouls, excuse me. So... don't play that position because they're going to try to get the foul on you. That's
dumb shit.
It's just not smart.
Just dumb shit. And the foul before that was dumb. Yep. And the fucking foul when the one early in the game where he was mad and he fouled somebody when they got the rebound and put his hand up at the ref. Like, all that shit counts against you later in the game.
It adds up.
You picking up dumbass fouls in the finals because you out there, like, emotional. Like, you see, he throws tantrums sometimes and just like, bro, just fucking play.
Yeah.
Like, you good enough, you strong enough, you talented enough to just go out there and fucking dominate the game. Like, that shit that they doing is not really, like, he's just mad he's getting fouled and he's not getting the calls. They were doing the same shit to him for game 1 and game 2.
Right. But
he still was killing.
But game 3, he just...
use your footwork, use your ability.
Man. The
I
emotions,
know, that's what I'm saying. It weighs on you. And that's where that shit, like, it causes motherfuckers to collapse. So, like, for me, you're now the reason that your team is down 0-3, you know?
But speak about that, because I think you've been in championship-level games. You've been in that position. What do you do when you get into that mental state where you're feeling those emotions, the pressure's on, you're overwhelmed? How do you combat that?
I mean, good question.
In your experience, you know what I'm saying? Because I know, you know, this it's not going to be the level of obviously NBA Finals, but you've been in a professional league championship game.
Yeah.
With that pressure.
There are a lot of playoff games over there. Like, players want it just as bad. They ain't as good as NBA players, but motherfuckers want it just as bad.
NCAA, you know, you're going for the, Final Four. You're trying to... All these things happen, and you've probably... It might not even be something that you've even processed and wrote down or what you do, but what is the secret sauce for, like, up-and-coming players, NBA players, people that watch the pod, EFS family? How do you navigate those moments where... it is men's mental health awareness, you know what I'm saying? So we got to figure out what is the secret to kind of getting through that so we're not getting fouled out game 6 when your team needs you, when you're down by, 4 points. Like,
I mean, that's a good question. This is off the cuff now, so I'm really thinking about, for me, what it was. And I've had moments where, like, pressure has gotten heavy and things get, like, basketball, sports are an emotional thing. Like, if you actually give a fuck, if you actually care, if you actually want to put effort into, like, achieving something or, like, a goal, it's an emotional thing. Like, and I keep saying this, like, people put in a lot of work to get to the point where they at especially on that level in the league, like motherfuckers want a chip. Like, you know, people whose legacy and people whose public opinion and you in the news cycles and all that shit, they're players that are in the game to just get as far as they can, but there's also players that are in the game to, like, again, win. Like, I've always been a person that was in the game to be like a winner or as best as I could, you know, while of course one personal achievements and success just comes part of it, but you believe as a player that once you are growing your ability to get good enough to make the impact in the game, and the winning should come, you know. So I've always, all of my team, I think I played 10 years. It's maybe like 3 years of the 10 where I wasn't on the team that made the playoffs.
Right.
And I was just like, you know, but I've been to finals multiple times in my career. 3. So I know what it's like to be in those kind of situations, but when the tension like starts to weigh on you, you got to understand that your emotions take away from what your body and like mind are naturally meant to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you put the work into achieving an outcome or goal, and not to say that when you're working out you don't get frustrated, because there's times that you want to, like, you're picking up a skill as you're growing your game. Like, for me, when I was growing up in the game from college to professional, like I wanted to put a lot of time into being a shooter, because I knew that I was more so, like, I didn't have that many opportunities to shoot the ball in college, but I knew being a pro at my like position and the position I was trying to translate to as a pro, I knew I was going to have to be able to shoot the ball. So that's something I put in a lot of reps and a lot of reps and just building my shooting ability to where when I got to the pros, I'm like, all right, I'm going to start to add this to my game. Yeah. And I grew it even more and more from there, like over the span of my career, while doing other things too. Like, I remember when I first like tried to learn how to shoot a fadeaway properly and add that to my game, that process to where I got comfortable enough doing it in games. So not to say that you don't get frustrated in those moments, but once you put in the work in those moments to where things start to become second nature, and then you go into like live competitive situations, which are emotional, like you start to understand that when you get too riled up, you're not operating from what do I see? What am I reading? How am I processing the situation? And then from there, like, I'm going to react to it, like, off of what I just naturally know what to do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because as I'm sitting there talking, like, the emotions can take away from that, but they can also add to it if you channel it properly.
So wait, so you're saying you can use the emotions.
You can use the emotions to
elevate your game.
Yes. Like, we've seen players do it. Kobe Bryant, and God rest his soul. Love Kobe.
Yes.
Take that away. I'm going to use an example for your GOAT from one game that I remember from his career.
Oh, okay. Look at LeBron James love.
Yes.
All right.
There
appreciate it.
I forget what playoff it was, what year it was, but he had been getting his ass kicked by the Boston Celtics. And I got to look up the year now. But going into the game, and this was when he was with the Miami Heat, going into the game, there was a whole bunch of speculation and all this shit about LeBron's career, if he doesn't get out of this playoff series, if he doesn't, like media hype about if he don't get it done. It was a year after after they lost to Dallas, the next year actually. They got down to the Celtics. And it was a game after that, LeBron mental midget, because he collapsed in the finals the year before that. Everybody was talking about that shit. And I just saw him go to a specific zone like before the game. Like, you could see it in his face, you could see it in his eyes, you could see it in his like posture, his aura, that I'm mad as hell, but I'm about to channel that shit in a proper way to go out there and dominate the game. I forget how much he scored that game, but it was like 40 fucking something points, and they won. Like, and then went on to then win the NBA Finals from there that year.
Love those.
So like, it's like you can channel the energy from being able to like being something that can make you collapse to then being something that can cause you to be greater than like what you may even expect for the moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just understanding that your emotions have to be processed properly, you know? And then going back to Luka, because it's where this shit started, like, there's moments to where he literally just looks like a toddler on the court. Like, and that's what I saw in game 3. And I'm being harsh and being critical, but if I'm going to give you that high level of praise, I'm also going to call you out. I do the same thing for Kyrie.
This is who he is, y'all.
No doubt. Like, I'm a fair man. I'm a fair man. And if I'm going to put my name, like, yo, this is D. Burke's picking on that shit, then I got the right to tell you how I feel what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? He just turns a fucking toddler. But either way, back to the point.
Do you think that this is going to be a different Luka this fourth game?
It has to be, because you can't come out there and do that same shit.
Man.
But you got to be able to just process emotions as a player. Like the overall greater overarching message to this conversation now, because it went there, is like your emotions have to be channeled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what you do in times like that has to be something to where you can center yourself very, very quickly.
Come on now.
And then get back to like what you know how to do. And sometimes it's going to be the defense. Sometimes they're going to be fucking you up and the ref ain't going to be calling that shit. If you know how to adjust to that, then that probably means you're a pretty good or great player.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that what the other team is doing to you should be able to take away your level of ability. Back to Mike. Mike got fucked up a bunch of different times in the player. The Pistons went out there and said, we are going to damage your body physically and then see how you react to that shit in the game. He lost. All right, cool. I got to get stronger now so that nothing you do, because I know my level of ability and my skills is going to take me over top of whatever you're trying to do to me.
Yeah.
So as a great player, there should be not much the other team can do to you other than sending two people on the ball to say, you got to give it up to somebody else, which you just should at that point.
Yeah.
But if they guard you one-on-one mainly, Luka's strong enough, big enough, and good enough to be able to manage that shit.
And he's proven that. I just don't know if he's going to be able to maintain that balance in that centering that you were talking about.
It's hard.
It's his
hard
first time to the
sometimes.
finals, and I give him grace for that because, Jason and the Celtics and all them, they've been there and they lost.
They did.
And they have this
different
understanding
growing
that,
pains.
Exactly. Man. You just have to figure it out internally.
Some shit be growing
pains. And this is where I'm a little upset with, not upset, but I look at Kyrie more critically. Because he's been to the finals several times. He should be, to me, the big homie to go, Luka, look at me. We got this. Let's focus. Let's take a breather. Let's get back into a state that play our game. And I feel like he didn't give him enough offensively, but he also didn't give him enough coaching and counseling as big homie, big bro. On the court, off the court, whatever's going on between that locker room, when those moments in the halftime, it was his moment to lead. If he's gonna leave the games on Luka's shoulders, he's got to be able to go, all right, you got it, Rocky, come on, you know what I mean? And I feel like he didn't capitalize on that responsibility. Maybe because he was distracted and carrying his own mental load.
That was what I was going to say. I was going to say that's fair, but also not, because he's also overcoming 2 games where he played like shit.
And not only that, but he also has the entire Boston Celtics crowd booing every time he got a possession.
No doubt.
And it was a lot. And I was like, they really don't like Kyrie. Oh, my goodness. But at the same time, it wasn't the first time this has happened to Kyrie and when he walked into the building. And I feel like he should have been, I say should have. It's hard to say that, but there was a lot more preparation that could have happened so that he was the best version of himself in those first 2 games. Now that we're here, the 4th game, and by the time this is aired, this will be so it's going to be interesting to see how people are going to react.
Could be over by the time this is out, but this conversation still stands the same, because the first 3 games have literally been what put the series right here.
Yeah,
And to Kyrie's point, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So in the end result, when I hear you talk and I hear about this aspect of centering and balancing your emotions and trying to use them to elevate your game, I see this and I see the symmetry between that, not just with sports, with all aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you're in that stressful, overwhelmed, pressured state, you can take it internally and then use it as fuel to take you to the next level or, push yourself forward. So, EFS family, that's some true gems being shared here by your brother, Burke. And I think that's really, wise to do. Not easy to do.
It's not easy.
But with practice.
It's tough. You
know what I mean?
And I would say that for me, I guess the culture I came up in was what helped me kind of understand, all right, you got to learn to process your emotions. Because I've been getting, I've been put through the ringer in fucking day-to-day in practice since the time I was in high school, Again, playing for Danny Hurley when I was, like coming onto the prep school scene, trying to get in college, then from there going to college. So like they put you to the test in that way so that, you know, and I would say my teammates at that point, we would literally, and not to say we didn't have moments where our emotions got like, but it's usually just came from a competitive standpoint, like not like exuding like bitch assness on the court, like which is what Luka was literally doing. You know what I'm saying? So like that kind of was what I came up in. So I never really was an outwardly like emotional person on the court to where it's like, again, I'm just literally bitching and moaning at the refs the whole time and just complaining for fouls. Like to me, it's like my nigga just play better. Like certain shit gonna get in your way. Like I would talk to the refs. Like of course I talk to the refs and be like, yo, can you check that out? Or I've even got texts in my career. Yeah, sure. Like sometimes the pressure, like it does weigh on you and you just get emotional. But in general, again, once you realize you're taking away from your game, like if that shit is what you are focused on rather than do what you're doing. You know what I mean? Conversely, I remember having a game one time and this might have been the most angry I was going into a game.
I can only imagine.
In my life.
Only imagine.
It was overseas. Me and my ex had got into it at one point, like before I even like, and it was game day. So I had to go out there and play right after that. But I was determined. I'm like, whatever the fuck I'm feeling right now, I'm just gonna take it out on the court. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I ended up losing that game. It was wild. I ended up losing that game by 1. I made a shot. I made 2 shots in the fourth quarter to put us like in position. It was going back and forth, but going into that game, like by the time I got to the gym, I'm like, all right, what? Like somebody got hell to pay tonight because I can't, you know, I can't
it out on the court.
Yeah, I got to bring this energy, channel that shit in a different way, and I'm about to go out here. I'm about to like you.
I wonder what your stat line was like for that night.
I think 25, 14, and I want to say 3 assists or 4 assists.
Still, you was all over the floor to do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
I still remember because I remember how I felt going into that fucking game. Like, yo, I'm about to tear somebody's ass apart tonight. Like,
no homo, no diddy.
And was pit. Yeah, no diddy. Pause.
No diddy.
Yeah, pause that. Big pause on that statement. Big pause on that.
I was like, wait a minute.
Big pause on that. Yeah, no but diddy, nah, went into it like, yo, like tonight I'm dominating this fucking game. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I'm dominating. This year I won my championship too.
Nice.
So that night I went out there and killed just because I'm like, I got to take this energy and put it somewhere, and it's gonna be on my opponent. And then I got in a good zone. Everything started falling. Everything started hitting. And then once you get them first few to roll, it's like, I bet like now this energy that I really got going is going like it's going to the max now. And everything I do on the court, I'm putting into like again, it's certain things just start to slow down when you channel your energy, right? Yeah, you know. And if you're into like meditation and like that kind of stuff too to help yourself like feel slower and calm. When you get in a good enough zone as a player, like it literally feels like playing Call of Duty in slow motion, like kind of like that. Because you know how CO do for the gamers in the gamer community.
Hey,
like,
what's up, gamers?
You know, like you seeing everything, and it's just moving across to just a wave of just steadiness to where it's like I bet like all the decisions I'm making, everything I'm doing feels perfect. Yeah, you know, and then. That's the zone. That's the zone.
Say the same thing. You're in the zone. You know? Yeah.
And it usually comes from an emotional place, but you have to channel that properly. But that's my spiel, man.
That's dope, man. Thank you, man.
The emotional basketball guru. D. Burke's advice to all the players, man.
Good advice, though, man.
Luka, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry you're in this position, but you know, we gonna see how you respond.
You know what's crazy? I do believe that they're gonna win the game tonight.
It's either Cancun or fight. It's either go to Cancun
and that's
or
why
fight.
I think because Porzingis is out, and I think there's a little bit of like we did it already. Like I feel like some of that energy is out there. Is the game in Dallas or is it back in?
Still in Dallas.
Yeah. So I think they want to bring it back home for one game, give them a little bit of reprieve, extra money on that. I think it'll be I think it's gonna be the one game they win. Personally,
a gentleman's sweep. Hey man, we gonna see.
But that's my take.
Keeping it hoop.
Yeah, keeping it hoop, man.
Rest in peace to the legend, Jerry West. You know, very big loss in the basketball community this week. Man. I'm only not even really tripping about it because he lived a long, like,
beautiful life,
clearly very fruitful life, and was able to impact a lot of people. You know, Bill Walton passed most recently too, right before Jerry West. You know, rest in peace to him as well. Didn't officially say that on the podcast. I don't think we touched on that.
No, we didn't touch on it. But still, I know you.
Long lives, long careers, man. I would say long careers and long like post athletic like success. You know, Billy Walton in the media ranks, and then Jerry West in the front office ranks, and everything that he meant to the game as far as like he the logo.
He's the logo.
He's the logo. Not really as much of a winner, I would say, just because championships wise, he only had one.
Yeah, but I mean
but was there a lot and would face some great teams. So no shade on his career in that regard. But only player, which if you didn't know, you're gonna know today, he's the only player to ever be in a final series, lose the finals, and still win Finals MVP. Like what they talked about doing for LeBron that one year when he played against the Warriors and lost. Jerry West actually did that shit. So.
I don't know why they don't do that more often, because it's clear times.
It's kind of disrespect a little bit.
I don't think so, because you were the best player.
Sure, but you didn't win. You didn't win.
I'm guessing.
I thought that one year when it was LeBron, it could have stood to be a case, because he was that much better, but his team was just that much trasher. So
I know, but it's like, how do you not give this man credit for what he did?
I mean, I'm not against it.
Yeah,
I'm not against it, but I'm also not in full support of it.
So you should
to happen on a consistent basis, because there's a lot of times like say for instance this series, if it's over tonight, if Luka comes out here, because he only really had one bad game, if he comes out here and drops 40 tonight and then they still lose,
the case could be
points
made.
Per game averages and all that shit is probably going to be more than both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's probably going to win that shit. So, would that be a scenario where you would want to give it to a losing player?
The only way, because we don't really have a statistic, we could count steals and blocks, but that's what I'm saying. It's hard to equate the greatness of the player, the value of the player, if you only look at the offensive stats.
No, I'm saying full stats.
Yeah, full stats.
Had a triple-double in game 2.
Yes, he did.
He's averaging 29 points for this series.
Yep.
I think like 8 assists and like 9 rebounds, or vice versa, something like that. So technically, he could be in consideration.
There's other brothers that still had great impacts on the game.
I mean, no doubt.
If we're looking at plus minus, we're looking at
yes, but Boston hasn't had someone from
dominant,
the first 4 games
be
the best player on the floor for the series.
But that's when we're talking
Brown's
about.
Probably going to win it.
We're talking about value, and that's one thing about
game
value.
Game 1, Kristaps Porzingis. Game 2, Drew Holiday. Game 1, Jaylen Brown a little bit too.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown.
So
Not to say he has played bad, but those were the standout performances.
I would say Jaylen Brown's been the most valuable player. Only because
on his team, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been the steadiest.
He's been consistent. He's been defensively, like he got 3 blocks, I think it was game 2. I think he's been
strapping Luka
valuable. And I think
Pause.
Yo, that's the second one that was like, yo.
I caught that one though. I caught that one.
You talk about the train of thought is crazy, but I think he's been valuable more for his team than Luka has been the value for Dallas. Only because, like you said earlier, he's been a liability with the mental health aspect of the game.
No doubt.
And if it's gonna look at what is that outcome gonna be. Is it 3 losses? Even though he's doing decent numbers, then the outcomes isn't.
I'm not against it.
No,
I'm just saying,
giving you the real. Like,
Jerry West, the only person that done it. But
R.I.P. man.
It's R.I.P. to the
R.I.P.
legend.
to GOAT, man.
R.I.P. to him.
Is he was in the top 75, right?
Yeah, he's a logo. If the logo ain't in the top 75, something wrong.
Something's very wrong.
The only person I'm really pissed about not being in there is Klay Thompson and fucking Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie's definitely a thing, but Klay Thompson.
Disrespect.
I mean, I don't know if he's
disrespect.
I don't know who would you take out.
Mad people before him. He got 4 championships. Fine. Like, stop playing with that man.
That's what he got.
Stop
he got
playing.
4 championships,
and was a very integral part of all of them shits.
Very,
like, how's he not on the top 75?
Very important.
Disrespect.
Okay. I'm giving him.
But outside of that, yeah, Jerry was on there. For sure.
I was gonna say is to pivot a little bit, because we're talking about great players.
Where are we pivoting to?
Let's do it. I'm setting you up right now.
Let's do it.
We're talking about great players. We're talking about people having that mental health strain on them while they're playing and trying to overcome all the outside, talk, the media talk, the players attacking them. Let's talk about our girl Caitlin.
Okay.
CC.
All right.
I
give Caitlin a little time.
A little bit of time.
We ain't talked about her lately.
I think it's. No, we talked about last episode. We talked about last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a gap, so it's escaping my memory. But yeah.
But I want to talk about her in this episode about how she isn't going to be a part of the USA team. And I want your take, and I know there's between First Take and all the other people, They had a lot of takes, but I just want to know your take.
Late takes.
You're a basketball, figure. Your outlook. Would it have been better to have her come off the bench just for the eyes, or is it better that she's not there to increase the integrity of USA basketball and all that jazz?
I mean, late takes.
Late take,
because
but
this has been talked about a lot. But I'll put my stamp on it.
Please.
I see it both ways. If I'm being honest, I ain't gonna be as boisterous as Stephen A. was in his position. And shouts to him. I understand why he feels that way. But again, I think it goes back to that man versus woman shit, which I feel like has been a big. Because I just seen Caitlyn make a comment today about, because they asked about misogyny somehow.
Where are we going with it?
Yeah. And that's why I say I think this whole Caitlyn Clark shit is literally like a man versus woman shit, because now a lot of more men are starting to speak about the WNBA. And when before I don't speak for women, is because when you speak for women or something that's women related without having the utmost care in your opinion and utmost attention to detail, but also room for there not to be just black and white. It has to be different, nuance shades and all of the other shit. When it's that, and guys ain't naturally good at that shit,
don't do that shit.
It come off very, very like fuck you, stop talking about our shit. That's literally how it comes off.
Yes.
Like, fuck you, start talking about our league. And I see a lot of the women voices, the Andrea Carters and fucking Chanae, like a lot of the women on ESPN and shit. And just in general, I seen Carrie Champion talking about that shit on fucking CNN. I'm saying Monica McNutt has been multiple places talking about that shit. So I do think that those being some of the prominent voices in the women basketball arena, I think they're just hearing a bunch of men talking about their shit, and they don't like how it feels.
Who are you to talk about?
Right, exactly. And misogynist at certain points in my life, probably. Yeah, I think now
I wouldn't put that on you. I don't. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I would admit to some misogynistic behavior.
You heard it here first.
I'm not gonna say it's not on my rap sheet in some kind of way.
Or since I've known you, I've never known you to be.
Yeah, I mean, you called me later in life. You
grew up a lot.
I think I've grown and I've become an elevated thinker in a lot of ways, and just and just in certain ways related to women, I try to keep things as. I try not to be that guy,
That's awesome, man.
Just because I ain't got to make the women uncomfortable.
I forgive you for your past transgressions.
Yeah, no. But at a certain point, big misogyny, so
I don't know if you say it like that. I wouldn't frame it that way.
I mean, it is what it is.
At some point,
if you know, you know. If you know me at that point, hey, man, it is what it is. But regardless, as I was saying, I think when it comes to the NBA thing versus, not NBA, the men speaking about the WNBA, it don't feel good for ladies to hear how some of the shit they are doing, or how it's perceived looks to other people.
Right.
It hurt. I think it hurts a woman to say, "I think you hating on that other woman," from a man. And that's just I
never thought about it. You just gave me a little something to think about.
That's what I'm saying. Is men talking about women's shit. The most heated those debates have gotten is when Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. is sitting there talking about the WNBA to two women.
So how do we talk about it?
3 women when you count Molly.
Yeah, but how do you talk about it then?
This is what I'm saying.
So
it's a very
I don't
fine
understand
line you got to toe.
Because you have to say these things.
Right.
In the conversation,
right?
But then you're a misogynist if you're saying it,
exactly,
because you don't talk about WNBA. It's not it's not your thing.
This why they came at Stephen A. the way they did. You could have been talking about the WNBA 3 years ago. And he's like,
very true.
I was the only one talking about the WNBA 3 years ago.
But I think to the level of I can give grace to both, because Stephen A. is working and operating from a perspective of, I need to make sure I'm talking about things that are going to generate traffic.
I got a job to do.
Exactly. At the same time, women are
people to report to.
There won't be any traffic if you're not talking about it.
Right.
So they're both sides of the coins are honestly accurately upset or trying to portray something at the same time.
And I think the only people that are really getting upset are the women with all the new eyes on the league. You know,
the women that feel like the eyes should have been there, or feel jaded because they haven't had the eyes, or they.
I think I'm trying to say this delicately, but I think for the WNBA right now, with the rise in attention that it's gotten,
boom,
and then the rise in
other
people's opinion that it's gotten, and it's not even just say Caitlin Clark. I think Cameron Brink has been big in elevating women's basketball. Angel Reese has been big in elevating women's basketball. So it's not just one. I'm just saying in general, I think that now where the WNBA is at, to where there's been so much attention coming to the league now, and a lot of that attention comes from a lot of men, because now we're all paying attention to the league. I think it makes them uncomfortable because it's like a man versus woman dynamic when speaking about something that's very delicate and very close to heart for them.
Right.
And if we know something about women in general, they get very sensitive about things that are close to heart. Not to say that it's not possible for men, but then to defend the league in that way against people who are not the same sex as you. Because sometimes it's like when it's women talking, all right, we talking. When it's men talking, it's like, all right, we talking. When the other sex is having a conversation about something that's specifically man, going back to episode whatever, the group chat. And to me, it's like, oh, okay, now it's two women talking about some shit that is some nigga shit, some guy shit. You know, I can sit there and take it because I ain't really that, you know, it is what it is. Your opinion is your opinion, you know. But when the lens is flipped sometimes, I think it's different when women hear men's perspective on things that are specific to them. Yeah. In this case, the WNBA. Going back to your original question, I see it from both ways. I do respect the integrity of WNBA, like players having to be in the league for a certain amount of time, or having to be this impactful for a certain amount of time, or whatever you think collectively makes the best roster for your Olympic ambitions. Yes, do that. Stick to that. If that's how y'all go tried and true, then cool. I do think there are other instances which have been pointed out where they go outside that a little bit, but there's also been a lot of people that have been snubbed for the USA women's team. It's one of the hardest rosters to make. Sports teams, like, it's just known that it's hard to get on. It's, you know, it is what it is. And there was an interesting point that I heard outside of this small tangent, and I'll get back to it.
Sure, go ahead.
That what Andrea Carter was pointing out about this team is harder to make, because if you even look at the men's side, the Olympic team is easier to make because a lot of your great men players don't even have citizen, or they're like they're not here. Giannis,
they're international
Luka,
players, yeah.
Embiid probably gonna play for, but he could have played wherever. Freaking now, Wemby. Like, a lot of the greater men players are from elsewhere now, so it waters down the USA talent pool. So you can,
it's an interesting thought. I didn't even think about it like that, because you're right. The way we measure the USA Olympic team, we don't see who's the top female prospect from around the world.
They're from here. Yeah, they're homegrown talent.
They're homegrown.
So, like,
because the leagues are in different stages, right?
You know,
they're just now hitting their Magic Johnson and Larry Bird era, when we've already had that since the 80s, right? So now they're
league is 26 years old.
Exactly.
26 versus 70, what, 8 now? What was that, 3 years ago for the 7? I don't know, but 75 plus.
75 years plus, NBA. Yeah. So I guess what we're talking about isn't necessarily the efforts of winning a gold medal. I think what's more important, based off that statement, right, of it's easier on the men's side, well, don't we want to get to that level where we have international prospects? And if that's the case, we need to make an international case.
That was my other point. Like, the flip side of it, getting back on track, is that Caitlin Clark would then add to the level of eyes on it.
It needs to be there.
And then, which is why I fuck with what Stephen A. said about that shit. It's like, bro, if you want more money, and the most interesting point in it is that I love about his argument, or his perspective on it, not to say argument, was that if you know basketball and you're tied up enough into it, like, and this ties into what I've experienced myself. Like, I know women basketball players who were in the league, or like right on the cusp of the league or whatever, and played in WNBA games, NBA games and stuff like that. But most of their money is earned overseas.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be in a position to where y'all ain't got to do that shit in the fucking wintertime or fall and winter to go play elsewhere, to where some shit like what happened to Brittany Griner couldn't happen to y'all again. Like, why not put more eyes on the game of women's basketball so we can generate more revenue for it? We can then pay y'all more and then make life for y'all a little bit easier, so where you don't have to go play overseas because you're not making enough money in the WNBA.
I guess the hardest part of that is that who you snub. Who do you snub?
You know,
that's the hardest part of it, because like I hear you,
and that's
but I wouldn't want to be that one person that they kicked off for Caitlin Clark.
It's going to be somebody always, though.
I know, but I wouldn't want to be that person.
I mean, no doubt. You're going to be mad about it. You're going to use it for fuel to do whatever the fuck you need to do going forward. It just is what it is. But I do respect the quote-unquote integrity of it. This is just how we rocking. Girls only going to have 7 practices before they get to the Olympics. So we got to make sure that the unity of the team and the cohesiveness works and all of it shit. I get all that. But end of the day, if the greater goal is to put women's basketball on, then hey, this is probably the move y'all want to make to get more eyes on the game.
If you want to get to the outcome,
you want to generate the revenue, or you want to make sure that y'all win another championship when putting on the team is not going to cost y'all.
Yeah,
like I don't win this shit anyway.
I definitely believe it's a multitude of things, and there's a lot of star power.
And not for that, another layer to that is then it then adds to the perspective that y'all don't really fuck with Caitlin because
that narrative is going to run no matter what.
Now you could have deaded that easily. Put her on the team, let her get in there. I think the
teammates on that team would have treated her disparagingly too.
But again, that's where it goes back to what I said. Can you call that shit out without the women getting offended?
No, they're going to be offended.
Right.
But they're going to be offended regardless. That's what I'm learning.
No doubt.
In this scenario,
because like you now
this is just me on the external looking at the situation. It seems to me there's an emotional underlying theme that is, and I'm gonna try to level set it as, why now? Why we've been working our asses off,
no doubt,
doing the hard work
for the white girl. Yeah.
And now this girl comes in, and all of a sudden, now y'all want to start paying attention. Y'all want to pay for the tickets. Y'all want to do all this stuff.
Is some of that?
And I think there's a level of healing that needs to happen across the entire league, right? Because I think there's an animosity. Because there's great, talented players that have been playing in the league, even from Delaware. Elena
Deladon.
Yeah. Even from Delaware, I was there when she was at UD and she played, and I loved it. I was, big supporter and all that. I loved the whole career she had. But when I'm looking at the whole breakdown of it, there is emotional baggage that just comes from, one, the pay never being the same as the men, the structure of the leagues, not having the charter flights, not having all of the things that didn't come with the league for so long, and now in a flip of a switch, almost instantaneously, when Caitlin Clark gets here, along with Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, all the people that came on, right? The wave just came in and just swooned, and there's a bunch of new eyes, some from the NBA, some from just people that just I like Caitlin so much. It could be grandma and grandpa that just love Caitlin Clark because I'm from Iowa and I got to follow my girl now. You know what I mean? They just love that energy. And now they're watching, but they have different opinions on the sport that never were there. So we have these two conflicting ideologies from the past, 26 you said years, to now day one. Fans are now making commentary on what has been being built for 26 years, and you're going to come in. That's like literally having a new boss tell you, hey, by the way, we're doing your entire job differently starting now because I'm here. And of course, people are going to be upset by that. Of course, people are going to be like, wait a minute, no, she's not going to just come in and dictate and change and do whatever she wants. You know what? How about this, the shoulder check? How about this hip check? How about we're going to throw this extra
petty, man. It's pettiness.
Exactly. But
it's petty.
I understand it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying, speaking from perspective, a mental health perspective, I get why people are lashing out at Caitlin, even though Caitlin isn't the reason why this is happening. We are. The people. Society has deemed Caitlin as, and I'm not saying without manipulation from the media and other factors.
100%.
There's other factors in this too, but to utilize Caitlyn again for the USA, I feel like that's too much to put on one shoulders of one girl. I think honestly, if they would have put Caitlyn on there, there'd also been a whole nother narrative like why just Caitlyn and not Angel? Because Angel has good stats.
Nah,
Angel's been performing well. She's got the double in one game. She's been doing a good job as a rookie in the league.
Sure, no doubt.
And she also has been getting fouled and getting,
I mean, no doubt. We know why it's Caitlyn. I'm just saying.
I know why it's Caitlyn too. But
we all know why.
But when you see her roll through town, Angel Reese, her ticket sales is putting the.
I gave credit. Yeah. I said there's been a bunch of women that had led to the growth of the game, and I do understand. Like for me, the WNBA has been growing over the last few years. Like it's been little by little. It's now, and I think since it's grown into this point to where as it's growing, Caitlyn is coming up the ranks, and she's doing so much better in college than all the girls to where she's hands down the best player in college by a lot of people's opinion. Then lead it by a lot of people's opinion is what I'm saying. This ain't that argument.
No, I'm not going there.
But when you have the chance to create that level of a firestorm towards something that's already growing, it's like putting gasoline on the fire a little bit. Like, we're going to burn this bitch up now. Like, we're going to throw y'all games all over ESPN. We're going to see what the ratings look like.
And Ion and other
crazy.
channels.
Like, it's out here.
What?
It's out here. So, like, appreciate where it's going. And I understand that there's people that put in the work. Like, I'm not gonna negate any of that shit. Like, if you did the work, you're probably gonna feel a way about it right now. Understood. I just think it has to get to a point where it's just like, it is what the fuck it is now. And these are the early stages of it, so now it's like always in conversation and shit like that. But if you want the game to grow, it's gonna grow organically
through the stars.
Like, it's going to grow organically, or whatever comes organic for the people to then draw eyes to whatever you're trying to promote.
Yeah.
Like, take it and run with that shit.
Yeah,
run with that shit.
I might go to, if she comes back to the to DC, I might go to the game.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just thinking about it. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go see Caitlyn.
That's what I'm saying.
Let it
ride the wave.
It'll be my first WNBA game. I'll be honest with you. And I'll let you know I'll give you my opinion on it. Let you know how I feel about it.
Ride the wave. Ride the wave. And that's from Stephen A. Smith and Realist A. Smith, because like, just ride the fucking wave.
No, we're not going to slide past you calling yourself Realist A. Smith.
That's my new shit, bro. I'm Realist A. Smith, bro. I'm Realist A. Smith. Like, it might be my new tag at the top of the pot.
That's the craziest.
Yeah, no, but
craziest take.
But I see it from both ways, so I get it. People are gonna be frustrated, all that other shit. But again, you got something right in front of you that ain't been there before. So take it, use it, ride with it, because it's not like she's against y'all in any kind of way.
No, but I mean, aside
paying
from
homage to y'all, like, so end of the day, let's ride the fucking wave. But again, it's like petty the emotions with that.
Yeah. And I'm hoping for healing, man. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so too, and I hope it's to a point where, again, if you want that many eyes on the game, then you got to be able to take people's perspective again, and men's perspective on the game, because the game does not grow without men and women supporting it. I know a bunch of women that watch the WNBA, so I'm not saying it's just a specifically men's game. There's a bunch of women that watch the NFL. There's a bunch of women that watch baseball. Like, the sports don't grow unless collectively you can
all watch it.
Right. So if we can't watch it and then give my perspective on it, then it's like, oh, fuck you. You don't know what I'm going through. Just whatever. Like,
I don't know if you ever seen RDC World. They did a video about how to watch WNBA versus the NBA.
Yeah, I seen that shit. Yeah, I seen that shit. Yeah, it's like you gotta watch the WNBA games
I respect that. Good effort.
She didn't have her best performance, but I know she tried very hard, and this is whatever. We don't know what she's dealing with personally, and this is like, I don't need to have that. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not that sensitive. Like, I haven't graduated that much in my emotional maturity to be able to. Some shit I'm gonna just say, and that's how it's gonna come the fuck out.
It's a very emotional, mature statement to say you haven't grown in your emotional maturity.
Of course, like, I own my shit. Like, I'm cool with owning my shit, especially to the women. Like, this is how the fuck I am. So you gotta understand what you're dealing with. Yeah. And again, I don't know if a lot of women are just ready to hear men's perspective on anything, on anything that they do. Woo. Or how they come. Like, there's a lot of women that ain't ready to hear that shit.
Nah, but I think over time they will be.
They gotta be if you want that shit to grow.
It's gonna grow, and I think what the beauty of it is, I could see a lot of like couples sitting down together watching WNBA games together at some point.
I'm sure there's a lot already.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's going to be growing and it become a trend, it become a thing. I'm looking forward to it for the future, man.
Hey, ladies, best of luck to y'all with your growth of the league.
Hey.
But again, it gotta be.
Hey, EFS
gotta
Pod
be fair.
supports you.
It gotta be fair across the board.
We support
where
the
everybody
WNBA.
can talk about it.
We support the WNBA. I'm trying to get a sponsorship deal. We support the WNBA.
Hopefully, throw us a
Fastest
check.
growing league in the nation. I tell you that.
They might not like my perspective on it. So, sorry. You
I
gotta let the guys talk to them. Sorry.
I was gonna say, because it's been a minute, man, and you did talk earlier about how Kendrick's gonna have this Juneteenth concert. Where is your? I know I have my personal rap power rankings pretty much.
Okay.
Who's the top 3? And I wanted to know yours. If you change, if you move things around at all.
My rap rankings?
Yeah, because I think you had taken Drake.
I had Kendrick, Cole, Drake.
Kendrick Cole Drake or Kendrick Drake Cole?
Kendrick Cole Drake was my take.
No, after, because hold on now, because I remember you said Cole was last because of his.
Oh yeah. Originally, before we got into all that shit, it was
but
Kendrick,
after he
Cole,
did the
Drake,
apology, so now you're saying after the dust is settled and all the beef is done,
now
that your ranking is Kendrick Cole Drake.
No, now it's Kendrick, and I'm still waiting to see what everybody else do.
Wait, what you mean? You just what? So you got 2 vacant spots in the top 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wild.
That's where it's at for me right now.
You wild. So
I'm
basically,
not operating from. I've had time to process my emotions on it, so I'm not mad at Cole like I was before.
You was mad.
I was mad at Cole for a little bit. I've accepted that it is what it is now, and I appreciate some of his stance and perspective on how he went about that shit.
Yeah.
If that ain't you, right now my rankings like Drake ain't done shit but put up a bad performance in the battle. Like he ain't done shit but put up a bad performance in the battle, and now he dropped the one shit with Sexy Red, All for the Beat, the Metro Boomin shit.
Yeah, the BBL jersey.
And now Wagwan Delilah. So
Wagwan Delilah.
Yeah,
that was funny. It was funny though.
That shit made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
If you know the original song, then it's kind of like a parody of that shit.
It is.
Not stellar music, I think.
No, it wasn't.
So,
I don't think it was supposed to be that though.
And I'm still waiting for Drake. It's summertime, Drake. Like we getting ready for it's summertime, my nigga. It's summertime now. Where's the hit?
Next week. It's officially next week.
It's summer, man.
It's officially next
It's summer. Kids out of school.
Kids out of school.
Kids out of school. I got $1,000 a month coming up for fucking
for
summer camp. Like it's summertime.
It's summertime.
We need music to get us through having to pay for our kids to do shit.
Where you at,
Where the
Drake?
fuck you at?
I
Like,
need to be hearing you playing in the background with a mimosa. Where are you?
You know what I'm saying? Where you at? Where you at, gang? Because
I got
Kendrick
the
about to.
Casamigos.
I know what Kendrick about to do
No
out there.
Drake.
I know what he about to do for the Juneteenth show.
Yeah, it's gonna snap.
Like,
But that's
snap.
That's why I'm like,
Snap.
I'm in an interesting position. I don't know if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
I'm waiting.
J. Cole's still my number 1.
Sure. I ain't think that was gonna change.
But I have a new entry
Who?
into the top 3. And it's just personal, because it's my personal feeling.
It may not be some other. All right, man. Go ahead.
He's like, yo, you see how he treats me, EFS Pod?
Who?
He was already against it. I ain't even say a name yet.
I'm.
Listen. I've moved, and I've decided Kendrick,
Mm-hmm.
all right, will be number 2. I liked what overall happened in the diss. I dislike Kendrick in so many instances with the beef. I had him number 3. I had Drake number 2. Drake has now fallen out of my top 3.
Wagwan Delilah did it for you?
No, what did it for me is he never vehemently made a case to me, and I don't know how he could have against the diss tracks that and the allegations and all that. Now on the flip side, Kendrick can't be my number 1 and have his allegations of his abuse against his what's name that to me he didn't respond to either. So I feel like neither of them can be my top in my personal. But where it lands for me is I didn't even consider, because he's such a multifaceted artist, putting him in this conversation. But I'm okay with it because I like majority of his music, and that's Childish Gambino.
Okay.
interesting take. I know it's not a person that you were probably thinking of, but
Nah, that's left field.
Left field.
I can see that coming from you, though. I can see that
coming from you.
No, I'm saying it's no shade.
Yeah,
I'm just
I know,
saying,
just
like
saying.
knowing your personality, your style of music that you like. I can see why you would say that.
Yeah, I thought about it for a while, and I was like, man, not to say that
Talented motherfucker. So like,
Childish is problematic in his own ways too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt.
I'm not saying he's
they
perfect
all
either.
are in some.
They all
way.
flawed. So I'm giving grace where grace is needed.
That's why I don't
But
put people on pedestals and shit.
The new power ranking for me is J. Cole, Kendrick, Childish Gambino. And depending on, I think Childish is going to drop something soon, and so is Kendrick.
Yeah, he got some shit coming.
And so is Kendrick. So depending on how they both drop, that might change. Because, you know, the rankings is always changing. But my latest rap power rankings is showing a bullet going down for Drake, and he's dropped out of the top 3. For me, this isn't a shot at Drake. I'm saying he can drop something probably this summer. And I'm like, oh, now you're back in top 3. But for now, I think you're okay with being number 4 or 5.
Right back to episode 1. It's always moving. This list of fluid, you know. Nah, but
yeah, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know?
Yeah,
I ain't gonna throw no shade.
You ain't got no shade at Childish.
I mean, I've heard his albums. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a Childish Gambino super fan or anything like that. But talented dude, you know, writer, producer, actor, all of that. Like,
you know, he's
checking a lot of boxes.
Grammy Award winning, all that good stuff.
That too.
He's
so
good.
You know, again, I get that from you. So I ain't gonna go back and forth on it because I don't got enough of a stance against him to even make a debate. So hey, man, it's your musical taste, your musical choice. We're gonna see what happens the rest of the summer.
EFS pod. Wow.
I'm still waiting for it, and not just Drake, like Kendrick. I think he got to come with something else too. If I'm just being honest,
what does he have to come with? Because I feel like he's.
I need another cohesive body of work from Kendrick.
Another classic.
I ain't gonna say classic. I need a cohesive body of work because all his albums are cohesive. Like,
this is his MO.
Yeah, so I need another, like, it ain't got, I want like this here and this on Instagram, but it's not on streaming, and like I want some, and it ain't got to be disses. It's just saying I want an album. I need a body of work. Would it be smart
to put together a project of the music with maybe like 3-4 more songs and then just have that drop?
Nah, because
you wouldn't want that.
Nah, it did what it did already. It did what it did.
What if it's a single?
The replay value for me on certain shit from this beef ain't gonna go too long because it already did what I was expecting it was gonna do, which is, you know, make Drake look a little funny in the light.
But isn't Not Like Us the song of the summer?
Yeah, no doubt. I would take Not Like Us on a cohesive body of work, like on the album somewhere.
Yeah, so you like, okay with that. But
throw that on there somewhere, but don't package. I don't need the package of the disses. Like, to me, like, they out there. I can find them individually. I want to hear what you got to say up next on your next project because, you know, he's always going to come with something thoughtful, something that has meaning to it. Like, he's just that kind of artist. So whenever he drops something, I want to hear it as that, and I'm hoping it's coming soon because don't go quiet again on me, you know. Like, I can only listen to freaking good, not Good Kid, Mad City.
Good Kid, Mad
Not
City.
Damn, the last one, Stepper, Big Stepper, Mr. Morale. I can only listen to that, you know. And I listen to, so I have songs from there on my general playlist and shit that I go to. So I do hear music from that album a lot, but like that shit is, you know, at this point,
it's a good album.
I've already like mentally dissected the album, heard a lot of things you had to say on there. I'm ready for the next one, you know. I'm ready for the next one, you know.
He said he was going to drop something. I don't know. I think it might be a compilation.
I mean, whatever it is, listen, I'm here for it. I hope it is a cohesive body of work. I'm looking forward to whatever's coming next. There's a few artists that are like on my list now that haven't dropped shit in a while that I'm like waiting for. Like her too. Like, when the fuck is her next album coming out?
When's her next little project?
I was just listening to some shit off her last one. I'm like, damn, this shit was a few years ago at this point.
Nationwide commercials, what she's been doing.
Yeah, you know, Color Purple and shit. Like, I get all that.
She's busy, but she's because the money is different. When you do the sync licensing, or you doing advertising, marketing deals,
I get it.
The money is different than to sit down and do a whole project and get only so much.
I understand it.
I'm just talking about the breakdown. I understand why artists don't do it sometimes.
I understand it. I get it. Be a star. Do as many different things as you can.
Yeah.
I still want to hear music from time to time too.
That's
I
true.
think you're leaving fans out here a long time with your last body of work, you know, being years ago, you know. And Kendrick's active off of this beef and shit, but, you know, just in general, I do appreciate when artists take time to spread it out between projects, but I think certain people is on the clock now, you know. And I want to hear something, hopefully this summer from Kendrick. I'm sure Drake about to come with another fucking something sometime this year because he don't go a year without dropping shit.
Yeah.
Cole, I'm waiting for the fall off shit whenever this is coming, like, you know. So it's just, I want to hear music.
I'm excited.
It's summertime,
we gotta
man.
get something.
The vibe is out here.
I don't
like,
know
what,
besides
streets.
Not Like Us, I don't know what anybody's dancing to.
Not like us.
Maybe that the what's the
Not
name
like
song?
us.
Tinashe, the Nasty Girl.
Oh yeah. That shit.
Which is all right.
That
whatever.
Kehlani record is making
The
a little bit of noise
Kehlani's bumping,
too.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not. It's weird. Like I don't know what the song. Besides Kehlani, obviously it's about that, but it's like I don't know what the song is supposed to be. Is it a club song? Is it a riding in the car song?
It's still early.
What I mean?
It's
early.
still early.
Yeah,
Summertime it ain't even started officially, but
Yeah.
I'm ready to hear some music, man. It's out.
Yeah.
It's outside season. I got a trip book. Yeah, it's on paper now, so it's on the way. Yeah.
Nobody
Barbados.
told me. Nobody told me
We just
nothing.
talked about it last time. I said
Nah,
I
I'm
was
just
gonna book a
teasing.
trip.
I'm
It's
just
booked.
messing with you.
Barbados now. I'm back.
That's like you could have threw me on there, man. I would have went out there with you. Nah, I'm
I mean,
ain't
you can
going out
come.
there. I ain't going out there.
You can come.
Listen, I'm good, bro.
I mean, it's a beautiful place. I ain't
Got your
been there in a while.
passports and all that good.
Passport. I gotta get my shit back up and
Listen.
running.
He booked the flight before he got the passport.
I brain farted and forgot my fucking passport expired this year in April 2024.
Oh, no.
Last time I got it was when I was still playing overseas still.
Oh my goodness. Get that handle, bro.
I got the pictures. I got the pictures taken. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna drop the shit off and then expedite. So hopefully turn around quick.
Yeah, you should definitely expedite.
But if not, I know how to get it quick anyway. You just got to go straight to the motherfucking office where they do all that shit in DC or New York.
Yeah,
and then from
it's
there,
a lot though.
It is a lot.
Same
I had to do
day.
that shit when I was going overseas one time. But like for Marley and all that shit too, when she was still traveling. So yeah, it was I know what the process is. I'll do it if I had to, but them dates is the book.
Yeah, that's what's up. Though.
Yeah, I'm out 24th to the 29th of July.
All right.
Yeah,
So we gotta figure out how many this pod.
Batch.
We'll get there.
We're gonna batch y'all some shit together at that point. Yeah, but that's book, man. But yeah, summertime is here, man. It's a great time to be alive. The weather, I told you, summertime changes my energy, and it's still grind summer, so out here moving around and shit. But that's pretty much it. I mean, real talk. We gotta get to real talk.
Oh yeah, we definitely have to.
Outside of real talk, that's all we got for y'all today.
You want me to preface it?
Or
Or you want me to
light week. I mean, I'm gonna let you set this one up.
Yeah.
I guess.
So I mean, obviously, like we said earlier, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we want to talk about something real. Just recently on a live stream, Michael Rainey Jr., the actor from the Power Ghost TV show, was on the live stream and where a young lady essayed him, touched him inappropriately while on live.
Sexual assault for people who don't know what the
I'm just trying. I'm making sure our video don't get flagged with nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just like,
oh, I gotta bleep that out.
No, I don't know, but sometimes they be acting funky with the YouTube.
Nah,
and they start saying something like
it's
that.
all a topic now.
So, again, it became a pretty much a big deal. But then some people downplayed it, some people didn't. It just speaks to a bigger conversation about how we address these kind of topics when it comes to, men and men's mental health and the assumption that men can be touched in any way without repercussion. And I think it's very important to kind of like preface the conversation that essay in any form or fashion, male, female, they, them, whatever, is inappropriate and is wrong and it shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be touching and putting your hands on nobody for no reason, without consent. So that's just to lay it up, right there. I mean, if you have a take on this, it's real talk. You know what I mean?
I mean, it goes, and this is going to sound like a fucking broken record, but again, it goes back to men versus women. I hate to make it seem like that is the case because I think as a society, we have come a long way with more, hopefully, being able to unify, men and women, and we still got work to do in a lot of ways. But I do think that there are a lot more conversations about it, at least.
And dialogue is important. Yeah,
dialogue is important, but again, being able to have open dialogue is where men often feel silenced.
Yeah,
because a lot of times it's just like, you know, and it goes back to even small shit. Like, and I know this is a thing that a lot of people say, like, happy wife, happy life. Like, you know, what the fuck
what about the man's happiness, right?
You know, like that kind of shit right there. Yeah. So, you know, that mentality is where guys often feel like they can't speak up or say things about things that they feel or have happened to them with women, or just their experiences that can also be traumatic, you know,
to be
and
fair,
shit like that.
It isn't easy for women either in a society where,
no, of course,
you know,
of course,
there's men objectifying.
All
like that.
fairness to the ladies.
But I say that to say there's got to be a way to bridge it, because we can't always look at society from only one lens, where it's as saying that men are
XYZ.
Yes, and, you know, are like, or that whole thing. I don't know if you heard about the man versus the bear discussion, where on TikTok it went kind of viral.
What was that about? Yeah,
they
were
what
was that again? I seen.
They were asking women,
right?
Would you rather, be stuck in the woods with a random bear or a random man?
Yeah, and a lot of them chose the bear.
Women chose the bear.
Yeah.
Right. But then another TikToker created something, and it was a question for men,
mm-hmm.
and then it was, would you rather be in the woods and tell your feelings to a random woman or tree? And the guys chose the tree. And it just speaks to how we're so, as much as we talk about unification and bringing things together, it's like we're probably in the same woods when we're both lost. That's what I'm trying to say.
At least we're in the same woods is what I'm saying. Because before, the woods for the women was some whole nother shit, and the men, you know, and I think a lot of it has been, you know, women voices and women being the fight of the women to get, you know, what's theirs, what's earned, what's et cetera, and all the equality. So it's been a lot of that throughout history, and I think we're closer now than we were before. But I do still think that, again, when it comes to women's behavior or women's like attitudes, or women, not attitudes to say you got an attitude, but you know, like women's perspectives and all that shit, I do think there's a level of delicacy that men often naturally feel has to be applied with anything they say.
Right.
Because of how it could be perceived from the man's side. Oh, like you're gaslighting, you're misogynistic, you're etc. Like all these things like that. This is why men don't speak up. You know, which is why the whole shit off of the Michael, like him getting his, like, I've been in that position before.
Really,
like,
as an athlete, or as just
as an athlete, in the club, chick, like, here, let me see that, like that type of shit.
Does that feel in those moments? Because do you process it as you've been sexually assaulted, or do you process it as, oh, it's just a drunk girl that just did something, or how would you internally take that? Because if you process it as, you know, is potentially looking at it as like you're a victim of sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
But do you look at yourself in that light, or do you look at it from, because I think as men, we don't even give ourselves that ability personally, but I want to hear your perspective.
It's going to sound, I guess, a little nuts, but I never, and it's been multiple times. Like, it's not like one time that shit happened. Like, it's happened a couple different occasions that I can remember. One was overseas, one was here in the States. So, like, for me, I never really looked at it like that, just because I guess in that time of society or our existence as human beings, like, it was just like, okay, like she want me, like that kind of shit.
Right.
And it never processed as like, yo, and I never had any dealings with the women after like that. Right, so it's not like, you know, she grabbed my shit, I'm like, oh, what up? Like, let's see what's, you know, what the vibe is. Like, it wasn't like that. It was like random chick, like, whoa, who are you? Like, you know, what the fuck is going on? Whoa, hold up. Like that type of situation. So I never processed it as this is like a sexual assault thing, because like guys don't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, Donald Trump did, but that's a whole other conversation.
I mean, yeah.
That's a whole other I'm just saying.
Sure, but, you know, from my perspective, it's like, oh, guys don't like, but it did feel like, yo, like, who the fuck is, like, you can't just grab my shit, you know?
I know.
If I was interested in you or some shit like that, maybe it would have rubbed.
It was wild to say, do it off
exactly,
premise.
You know? But, you know, it's just not the same thing, because if a guy grabs that girl's ass in the club or some shit like that, looked at completely differently, you know.
Oh, so, it's assault. It's sexually assault.
Now it's sexual assault, but even at that time when it wasn't so much of like a hot topic to where like the conversations on it were that more open, it was still frowned upon for the man to grab the girl's ass in the club.
I mean,
or some shit like that.
It was weird because the way we in the club scene, just specific to the club.
Yeah.
And I don't know if what's people doing now. I haven't been to the club. I don't know how long. But when you go in the club, I know they live stream and they do the
internet,
the bottle sections, which is annoying because we're not even connecting. But what I'm trying to say is, we would usually just pull up back in the day. We would just get behind a John and like she would do the little look back, and if you ugly, you would know instantly because she would walk away.
And even that could now that you say that, which was just regular shit for us. It was regular shit for us.
I don't know how they do it now.
Perceived as like a level of sexual assault if the girl's not,
if she's not interested.
That's what I'm saying.
Because now you're groping her.
Right.
Which you're, physical.
We going groin on ass.
Right.
And then
it's like, oh, I don't know you. Why are you coming up? And I think that's partly the reason why the club scene looks trash. I was at an event and everybody was on their phones. And then for like 15 minutes, they brought the bottles out, and it was like, oh.
That's just how shit is now. Attention spans are short.
But that's small potatoes compared to the full conversation we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when I look at the situation, and I hear your testimony in that regard, I'm like, when do we as men get to say our feelings about things of this nature? Like, where do we go if we did feel uncomfortable? Who would we go to? Like, do you go to the cops and you think the cops gonna take us seriously? Yo, she grabbed my genitalia. Are we? I don't know where we are in society.
I think now they would have to, just because of the progression of the topic, like sexual assault. Like, you can't, and even more now, I think that there's a lot of guys speaking up, or like guys in situations to where it's like, oh, look, y'all be on this shit too. Which is also, again, like a men versus women thing. It's like, okay, now y'all crying all this like sexual assault and everything shit, which is valid, and we're not taking that away, but we got to shine a light on y'all too. The thing that I appreciated most about that scenario that happened with the live stream, and I saw a lot of women in the comments on it talking about, and when women, not men, talking about, oh, okay, I'm great, because now we can also talk about how some of these women is predators too, because it's like, that's the voices we need on y'all side to say that, like, this shit ain't okay.
Yeah.
Because it can come from men, but is it being heard or falling on deaf ears when it comes to what women like feel and like perceive off of what we're going through?
Yeah.
That's when it really becomes more unifying, not just like, okay, y'all be on this shit, this is that, whatever, and fuck it, we just gonna keep on wilding and doing our thing.
Right.
So I think the unification comes through understanding that men go through shit, women go through shit, and we all have to kind of hear each other out if there's gonna be connection, not even romantic, but just connection in like our plight as people, you know. And that's my perspective on it. Like, unfortunate, sure, it is. It's been a hot, like, I'm sure his comments, DMs, shit is going nuts over this shit,
Right.
Came out and said something about it, like, wild shit. But back in my day of having to, like, deal with that shit, it just never was really a thing,
Right.
I processed through it on my own. Like, I'm not, carrying it as trauma to this point, but I've seen it happen to me. And for me, it's like, damn, like, that shit was... It was just like a moment, and then that was it. So now seeing this conversation, it just shows where we at as society.
Yeah, we are.
Things can be talked about a little bit more, but people got to be willing to hear each other on both sides.
Yeah, I'm hoping
that's where we at.
I'm hoping that people can listen and appreciate just new perspectives, and then check on people that I think that may have some situations or experiences in their lives that they have never shared. I never knew that about you, bro. I never knew that was even the thing that came with the game, right?
I don't told it on my
No, it's not on your resume, right?
Yeah,
10 years, but 10 years in the league, how many times you getting assaulted in the club? Like, I only imagine. Like, so if it's part of our society, and it's like the ugly truth, like the good, bad, and the ugly. It's the ugly side of the league is like, yeah, you're gonna have that as part of you being the quote unquote star, or you being the quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your status is, that comes with it. And they don't talk about
here,
that.
I ain't even think she knew outside of my stature. Like, she
you don't only 6'8" nigga walking around.
I'm tipsy, I'm drunk, I'm walking through, and this is after I graduated. So I was playing overseas, but I was home at a certain point. Like, I think it was summertime. No, it was winter. I was home on a break. and I was out in Philly actually, and oddly enough, I was with another chick that I was talking to and seeing at that point.
Bold.
Yeah,
yo, that's bold.
Yeah, nah,
you just pulling up on me like that,
drunk, just
crazy.
like, and not even much conversation or anything, like just hey, boom. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Reach for it. I'm like,
nah,
whoa,
that's disgusting.
Whoa.
And if it was a man, we would probably be swinging on him.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? We'd be swinging on him. So
but,
I think that's where it's like the disconnect of the understanding. I'm trying to land the plane a little bit so we can get out of here. But I think going forward as men, just being able to be able to hear and listen, checking on your friends, checking on your people that you love and care about. And try to give them that extra moment. Like, hey, if there's ever any moments like this, right, talk to me, right? Because you don't know how it's affecting you internally. Not you, I'm talking about, but the people that are in this situation.
Yeah, for sure.
It could be something bigger, and you may not even realize it until the next time you about to get down with a jaw, and you just start feeling some type of different way. And I'm like, I just want people to be able to have resources and be there for each other in this moment. So. That's all I'm saying.
Stay out there, man. Seek counseling as always if you are going through something that heavy. Stay safe, stay sane out here as always.
And it does happen, man. It happens.
Does happen.
Far more than we probably admit.
But yeah, man, that's real talk for today. Real quick on the way out. Want to touch on anything else? I saw a show. I'm gonna recommend it on here because I just finished it. Eric on Netflix.
Eric on Netflix.
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's about corruption.
Okay.
And corruption in the police system in New York City.
Okay, that's probably.
But it's like based back in, it's not present day.
Oh, it's like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that was a thing.
Back in the day. Yeah. So it's a very interesting depiction of that. There's drugs.
Okay.
There's obviously police, like we just spoke about. There are, I want to say this right. There's drugs, police. There are moments of sexual,
that's a weird
promiscuity.
That's a weird pivot.
Yeah. It's,
to land on that.
It's a little freaky. It's a little freaky.
Right, but just brace yourself. But it's
brace yourself because some shit in there is a little
crazy.
Difficult to watch.
Okay.
If you ain't got a certain level.
I've been because I'm in the married mode, so I've been watching like Bridgerton, dog. I'm not even nowhere near none of that.
Nah, but the storyline. The storyline gets you. It's about a kid who gets lost, more or less.
Okay.
And then everything that transpires around that. But it's a wild flick.
Crazy.
Not flick. It's a series. Wild series.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
There's puppets in it.
Nah, you wildin'.
There's puppets in it.
You don't know what's going on now.
Yeah. So off of that, just give the first, if you want to check it out, get the first episode or two a watch. And I'm probably sure that's just going to keep you hooked to finish out the whole thing.
How many episodes is it?
It ain't many. I think it's 6 or 8. I can't remember.
6 or 8.
I binged it, and I got in a space where it was just going from one to the next to the next.
Is it a continual story, or is it by that whole season's done, it's over?
I think it's done. It's one of those things.
I like that.
Benedict Cumberbatch is the main,
Oh yeah, I like him too. Doctor Strange.
He's on it. There's some ethics of racism in there as well. So
so I got to brace myself for the show.
Yeah, it's a deep show, but it's also very fucking wild that you got to sit there and watch through some of it because it's like, what am I actually watching? But then once it ties together, it's like, all right, I see where they went with that.
Yeah.
All
right.
Interesting show. Very interesting.
I'll check
show.
it out.
There's addiction. There's a whole bunch of different things tackled.
A lot of layers.
I'm currently on the joint on Apple TV Plus, which is Dark Matter. I'm currently on that.
I'm gonna need you to share your code, man, because I ain't got that.
My code only goes so far. I think they're gonna lock. They think they're gonna lock me down.
Listen, brother, let me get a couple episodes or something, man.
I got you. But yeah, that one, that's the new one I'm on. But I'll probably go check out the Bad Boys flick sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that.
If you're a child, In and Out 2, Inside Out 2 is dropping.
I want
to see that. Learn how to process their emotions and feelings as a father.
Speaking of all the emotions we talking about today, man.
Yeah, so a couple joints out there, just a couple D-Burke recommendations to go check out.
We can do this on a regular. I love to have a little section of the pod where we can just talk about things that we like and You want to share it with the,
I mean, that's always. I'm always down for that.
Let's do it, man.
I don't want to give you too many of my hobbies, but not you, but the people. I like to keep most of my shit private. But yeah. That said, man, it is quote time.
You got some?
I just had the last one.
Wow, so you throwing it on me? Why you ain't remind me? You be doing this, yo.
I just remember mid-episode. So I just remember mid-episode.
Yo, you be doing this to me.
Yeah, you know, but
I know I had a quote before, so and it's from Gandhi.
Gandhi's a good one. Help keep you real peace and sane. And,
man.
I had a great meditation this morning. It was what I needed to start my Friday.
He threw me,
felt very Gandhi-like.
Here, you ready?
Let's get it.
The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
I heard that before. Yeah.
The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Now that's a good one. That's a good one.
Of the day.
I live that.
EFS pod.
That's my life at this point.
Big facts, bro.
Yeah, all I do is fucking work with other people.
Exactly, man. Taking care of others, man.
Man, shit is nuts.
All right. Well,
It's
thank you so much.
Crazy,
man.
hectic sometimes, but nuts.
Give me the floor for today.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad I was
sure.
ready because I was like, oh yeah, I do have one.
Listen, man, we tied it in. It's in there. But that said, EFS Podcast episode 18 is out of here. One more time for the gang on the way out. We get some air horns, get a round of applause. Summertime. As we get out here to the warmer weather, the activities, the brunches, the late evenings, the trips, all that other shit, word from the EFS pod is to make sure you stay safe. A lot of wild shit going on out here right now. You just seen the bus get hijacked this last week. A lot of weirdos, a lot of sickos, and just a lot of things you need to protect yourself of. If you're in large gatherings, make sure you know where your people are at all times. Make sure you know the exits, all that other shit, because summertime is a great time to be alive, but, you know, it also opens up the room for a lot of people to, you know, be in situations to where things aren't actually the safest. You know, a lot of large gatherings and all that other shit.
Right.
There was someone just arrested. I forget where it was from, and I'm probably going to fuck it up, so I'm not going to say this is completely fact-checked, but I did see the story because it was released on one of the blogger sites about a man who was just arrested because he was planning a mass shooting at a hip-hop concert.
What?
Yeah. I forget where it's at. I got to look at it after.
You about to have me jump back into the pod?
Yeah, no. I got to go back to where I found it because, like, the person posted it, and I was like, damn, I saw it in passing. You know them shit you just see, and then it's just like, whatever, but I read a little blurb about it. Yeah, a guy was arrested for planning a mass shooting at a hip-hop concert. So, you know, that said, just always make sure you're safe out there, guarding your energy mentally, physically, and all things in between. And we will catch you for another audio occasion. Episode 19 will be on the way. Enjoy 18 until then. EFS Podcast is out. Peace.
All right, y'all.